Hello, everybody. I'm Peter Grant with Zaner Metals in Denver. This is This Week in Metals. My colleague Peter Thomas is with me. How's things in Chicago?
Beautiful. Just a beautiful day to go to your local coin shop, pick up some new metal, get these new low levels. I think if you want to get out there and do something, that would be the start before you went out for a little brunch today.
Yeah, if you're feeling like you'd missed the move,
Yep.
we're at 8-week lows in gold.
And
Um,
silver.
yeah, well, 9-week lows in
Nine
silver.
week close in silver. So this is an opportunity.
Yeah. I think the trend is still up, and
Oh
while
yeah.
I was sort of leaning towards an upside breakout in the metals from the consolidation range, it doesn't always happen that way.
I was
Um,
looking at I think what we need to do is watch the dollar, Pete. I think it's if it pulls back a little bit here to get interesting.
yeah, so we'll talk a little bit about that. But gold
Yeah.
was down 5% last week.
Right.
As I said, it set an 8-week low of 1848.74. Um, it's about 9% off of the high, so
Yeah.
not even in corrective territory yet. Not to say that the pullback is over. It's holding the 100-day moving average,
Yeah, I
which
was just going to say that.
I'm
Exactly
encouraged
right.
by
Yeah.
that. And it's retraced about 38.2% of the big March to August rally. So kind of important levels are still holding. Um,
1850 is the magic number right now. It seems to like it above here.
Yeah. So, we saw some buying on Thursday last week, but
Yeah,
that
we did.
faded on Friday. So, it remains to be seen if the buying interest is gonna step up. Um, I think it'll be important.
ETFs are the big players, and they have been sellers. And week longs have been running. Stock market got them scared. Margin
That's
calls.
that's a good point. Yeah.
Yeah.
I do think that there were a lot of week longs higher up that sort of bought
Yep.
the breakout of to new all-time highs
Oh yeah.
back in August, and they've been sort of underwater ever since, and then the bottom sort of fell out this past week. But yes, the dollar played a big role.
Sure did.
The market went risk off, and and frequently when that happens, we see deleveraging, as you mentioned, in the precious metals, at least
Absolutely.
initially, and then people again start viewing gold as a haven. But at least initially, as people came out of the stock market and commodities broadly, on heightened concerns about COVID,
Right.
growth
Right.
risks, and so forth, they went into the dollar, and the dollar rallied, and that put pressure on the metals.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. When they start grabbing cash, when you have margin calls, a lot of people forget. A lot of people in the stock market are leveraged, and when the stock market pulls back that heavily, they have to meet those calls. And as we say in trading places, margin call, and it has to be
Margin
met
call.
now.
Yeah.
And so we saw a lot of gold liquidation, a lot of silver liquidation, a slowdown in some of the physical purchases, and it was a sell-off, and that's all there was to it. And now coming into a fresh week, it's going to be very interesting if these levels can attract some interest. We could see a little turnaround here.
Yeah, I
Uh,
was. Uh, I think it was last week. I mentioned that we had seen some renewed interest in gold in Asia, China and India specifically, where
India
jewelers were
specifically, yeah,
stocking up, so heightened imports of
right.
gold, and but we hadn't seen the consumer demand surface yet, and so I suggested last week that a drop below 1900 might fire up the consumers in China and India. Haven't seen it, didn't see it last week, at least not yet. But it'll be interesting to see how Asia opens early in the week ahead here.
Well, the Central Committee in China has been putting pressure on the Chinese citizen not to consume gold. And why? That's a brand new outlook. They had allowed gold was illegal in China for many, many years. They opened the floodgates. People came running in. Now they're putting pressure back on for them to slow up. In the meantime, India's been picking up the slack coming in the wedding season. It looks like good agricultural harvest. So what you're saying makes a great deal of sense. So next week is going to be our real test. And I think that, 1850, 22 are our numbers in gold and silver. Let's see what happens. I mean, right now we're seeing gold recyclers are really picking up a lot of the slack, which makes me happy because I love to see recycled products coming back. We saw 2,683 tons of gold recycled, and that was very exciting,
That's a
considering
big number.
we haven't seen a big number like that ever. So the recyclers are doing a good job. Keep it up, guys. Our scrappers are doing a great job. So a lot less pressure to dig fresh ore and keep it up out there, guys. Keep the wheels on the
Yeah.
road.
So just to maybe put that in perspective a little bit, total mined tons of gold in 2019 was 3,531 tons. It
Right,
was it was a 1% drop from 2018, and it was the first drop in mining output since 2008. And
right,
so, not a huge drop, but it sort of has resparked the peak gold, crowd that
right.
we only have so much left in the Earth's
Well,
crust that's
that's a
mineable.
fact. I mean, there's only so much gold out there, and right now the stories floating around are we're looking at around, Pete, if I think I'm right here, about 18 years, and all of a sudden there isn't going to be much gold around.
Yeah. So the U.S. Geological Survey says 50,000 tons still in the Earth's
Okay,
crust. And
all
so,
right,
you do the math. I
not a
mean, it's
lot.
not like we're going to average, 3,000 tons a year necessarily, but you can go through 50 tons fairly
You
quickly,
can,
14 to
and
20 years.
I mean, we move a fair amount of gold, and we're small players. So these central banks, 50 tons, they can gobble that up pretty quickly. I think that in the long run, investors that are just our younger people who we start off in our silver and gold program for their IRAs for smaller long-term investment, hey guys, start buying breaks for, 15, 20 years out. All of our guys that did their IRAs, 401ks, 403bs, and put metal in them, back when gold was at 900 and started cashing out here recently, are very, very happy with their rewards. And I
Yep.
see no reason for that to change.
Yeah. Let's move on to silver.
You
Silver
bet.
took a shellacking last week,
Got
down
beat,
19%.
beat like a redheaded stepchild, baby.
9-week low, 2164. More than 50% of uh, the March to August rally has been retraced.
Right.
Again, holding that 100-day moving average, though. It's probed below it a couple times last week,
Yes,
but
it has.
um, but only slightly so, and closed higher. So what do you think? What do you think about silver? Wild ride for sure.
Wild ride. JP Morgan got a slap on the wrist for $1 billion for metals manipulation, but I noticed the fine, none of the people like us that trade that were influenced by the market manipulation are going to get any money back. But, I think we're seeing a lot of the players that were in there pushing this market around illegitimately are now going to be forced away from the market, which is going to give strength and credibility to the market. So I found that fascinating.
Yeah. High beta market like this, it has always been my position. And I wrote this in my newsletter last week
Oh yeah,
that you keep silver because it does have that much higher beta. If you're buying for the purposes of long-term wealth preservation in an IRA, for example, as you mentioned,
right.
the vast majority of your holdings should probably be in gold. You just have to look at silver as being way more speculative, and you'll experience volatility, like we saw last week. Down 5% in gold, maybe not so bad. Down 19% in silver,
Yeah.
ouch, right?
Well, but let's look at the converse side. The people that remember, you and I started beating the drum for our younger people at the low teens, going, "Hey guys, look, this is a real nice long-term investment," and they've done really, really well.
That's true, even with
And
the sell
so
off.
I mean, bottom line is that, look, when you're up 60, 70, 80%, it's time to ring the gong here and take a little money off the table, and then you have enough profit maybe to move into gold if you're a younger person just starting out. Pete.
Yeah. High beta, like high leverage, is very much a double-edged sword.
Yes, it
It's
is.
great
Yeah,
when it's working in your favor,
yes, it is. Yeah.
and yikes when
It's
it
like
isn't.
it's all good till it's not, and you
Exactly.
can quote me. Hey, listen, not much news in the PGMs. We are seeing California making fossil fuels illegal. So we are
Yeah,
going
what's
to
that? Is
see,
it 2035
yeah, 2035 is the number.
or maybe it
And
was 2040?
also we're seeing a gigantic announced in the EU resurgence of diesel, and they are working with the new diesel engines they're putting out there, and so diesel
Double
is,
check the
is
data.
coming back, baby.
Double check the data on the diesel engines.
Yeah,
Don't let that happen again.
yeah.
Volkswagen,
Oh,
I'm
you mean
looking at you.
Volkswagen? I can't remember back that far.
Right?
Yeah. Oh,
Don't tell
yeah.
me I'm getting a heck of a lot better mileage and so forth. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So PGMs, I think again with the heightened growth risks and the resurgence of COVID and so forth, not surprising to see commodities broadly come under pressure. But
Yeah, and we did see base metals get whacked. Everything from nickel, tin, aluminum, everything got hit. So it wasn't just the precious metals and the underlying and all of the products, all the recycling, all of our scrappers. Everybody took a hit last week.
yeah. So platinum was down about 9% last week.
Right.
Um, you know, Palladium was down a little bit over 6%.
But
Uh,
it held 2000 and it held it well.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And I would say that copper held up pretty good, all things considered. Down
No, I
about
I think
4%.
yeah.
I'm a little bit concerned about the close back up below $3.
Right.
But kind of that really the next important support level down at 278 doesn't seem to be in any jeopardy, at least right now. Uh, so that trend still looks really good to me, and could be an opportunity to get copper bought up a
Well,
little cheaper.
here's the bad thing is, we have to remember China is the rules the roost. 61 to 63% of all copper ends up in China, and they have slowed down consumption. That's the bad. The good part is the LME, the London Metals Exchange, which holds stockpiles tremendous amounts of copper. They reported that their stockpiles are down 24%. So, there's a yin and a yang here. I mean, if the LME comes to the board and there's demand for deliverables, we're going to see a little spike up back above that $3 area again, and let's see what happens. Like I said, next week across the board is going to be very interesting for all of you. All of you who are looking for opportunities to enter, some of these areas look very advantageous, Pete.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm still thinking that the 330, 333 area is a pretty appealing technical level on the upside, and we may, it got overextended to be sure,
Yes,
so
it did.
not terribly surprising to see a pullback, and
But it
you
has been steady. Now, when a market gets overextended for our viewers, it's such as silver as we're talking about monster beta, copper has been a steady trudge. It's not like it's been red hot, 10,000 points a day. It's, 2, 3 cents, and it's been steady. So it's been a different march for copper. And, the setbacks have been exceedingly violent, but the uptrend has been very, very strong and steady. So we have, with the election and COVID and China backing away, like you said, the behavior has been excellent in copper. Our guys, our scrappers should be selling against the 307, 309, 310 area with the idea of accepting some profit for what's in the yards for our specs for our guys. That's a different critter. We're in the hedging business, and we represent, miners, scrappers, refiners, recyclers. So we're in a different way. We try to give good, solid advice to our long-term guys in their retirement funds, and then we turn them over to our experts who handle the paperwork and whatnot.
Yeah, let's talk a little bit about the data last week. You know,
Outstanding.
again a mixed bag. Home sales and home prices were good as we kind of expected, actually better than expected. New home sales came in or I'm sorry, existing home sales came in at 6 million
Right.
on expectations of about the same, but new home sales was a beat. 1.01 million on expectations of 893,000. Home prices continue to ratchet higher.
Yep.
Again, you know, it seems a lot of this is COVID, you know, related. You know, people are trapped in their homes and looking for bigger homes and
Looking for bigger homes, looking for
want
offices in their homes,
yeah,
places for their kids to have a little, study from. We're
yards if
seeing
you're
an
in a
expansion.
condo. Yeah,
And, to our copper guys, 440 pounds of copper in a new house, guys, it's hard to ignore that. So
yep.
the numbers are calling for demand here.
Yeah, initial jobless claims came out a little bit hotter than expected last week, 870,000 against expectations of 850. Here's the one that kind of disappointed me and the market as well. Durable goods orders,
Yes,
0.4% on expectations of one plus
that was
1.5.
a shocker. It
Yeah,
really
and
was. I agree with you.
yeah, so that's kind of disappointing and you know, perhaps reflective of people battening down the hatches in anticipation of another bout of COVID risk as we move into the kind of the seasonal cold and flu period
Well,
as
I
well.
think too, the thing is that let's just look at this as, the COVID's been going for a while. So a lot of people who are tired of the washer, the dryer, looking at the old refrigerator, whatnot, all the durable goods that have been replaced, we might be in an exhaustion gap where everybody's pretty much done what needed to be done in the home and has moved on,
Yeah. Well, you know, that's evidenced by the 11.7% gain that we saw in July, and we
Right.
had a real strong number in June as well,
We
as I
did have
recall,
a
nine or
surprisingly strong
10%.
number, right?
Yeah. So yeah, you might be right. Everything might be bought up already.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
anyways,
Absolutely.
yeah. So we'll keep an eye on
So
this.
now we have to wait until we get into the next wear and tear cycle. I mean, it is a planned obsolescence. So
Right. So this week, Case-Shiller Home Price Index comes out. Consumer confidence.
that's a big
Personal
number.
personal income, yeah. So consumer confidence, they're expecting to rise to 90 from 84.8. So that's a pretty big
Wow,
jump in
that's a
consumer
big jump.
confidence.
Okay.
Based on the durables order, I don't know if we're gonna come in that strong, but
Yeah.
we'll see. Personal income, they're looking for a 2.1% decline
Okay, that
um,
makes
on
sense.
on PCE of 0.8%. So again, a lot of these government transfer payments have been exhausted at this
And
point.
exhausted or delayed, one or the other.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
also it doesn't look like either side of the aisle is going to reach across to get checks out to people or even support the small businesses. This could be a very ugly month.
Yeah, you know, I was glad that they funded the government into December at
I
least,
saw that. Yeah.
but with the battle over the Supreme Court raging, it doesn't seem like they're gonna make any headway on additional fiscal stimulus. We've got construction spending out this week, 0.7% is the expectation.
Okay.
Auto sales expectations 2.8 million on for autos and 9.5 for light trucks.
That's a nice number. 9.5 I can live with. Anything close to 10 is a good number.
Right, and then finally we wrap up on Friday with non-farm payrolls.
That's a
The
biggie.
expectation is plus 840,000 payrolls against 1.37 million
Million.
in July,
Right.
and then I'm sorry, in August. And then they're expecting the unemployment rate to dip to 8.2% from
Okay.
8.4% in August. So good numbers on the job front if that's what they come in at. And
Yeah.
then
Well,
finally,
Florida completely lifted the brand. They're 100% rocking and rolling. So
yeah,
I think if they do not get a spike in COVID, I think it'll be a very good example for the rest of America.
right. So lots to look forward to this week,
Yeah.
and we'll see if the buyers step in and are attracted to these the lower prices that we're experiencing right now. We hope you have a great trading week. I'm Peter
Absolutely.
Grant in Denver.
Pete Thomas, watch for Pete Grant's midweek updates, which come out on Wednesday. Give us a like. Be sure to give us a follow. This will be in your mailbox every week. Follow us on Twitter. We always have updates as to what's going on in the precious metals industry if you'd like to be informed. And have a great trading week next week. It's going to be very interesting. Thanks for dropping by.